Good morning, Big Brother fans. It is Thursday, July 17th. Oh my goodness. We had our first big moment on the feeds, potentially. Okay, let's be honest here. It was kind of a manufactured thing. But let's talk about it anyways and understand, maybe you'll understand it. Let me think real quick, because I know I'm not going to get through all this comfortably before I have to go. The evictions tonight, it's still Zay, Amy, and Kelly. I can't say for sure who's going. Potentially based on last night's stuff, Zay may be more likely to be voted out, but he also may not be, right? I'm just not sure. As I talk to you right now, who's likely to go. Vince would like to see a tie that he could break. I don't know who's going to win the battle, this is what they want, right? This is what CBS wants. CBS wants confusion and uncertainty, and they're getting it. If I have to pick, I think Amy's safe no matter what still. But I don't know who's going between Kelly and Zay as we stand right now. There are different people that want different of those two out. And I'm just not sure where it stands. I don't know. See, I don't even know, because I don't know if Vince really is stuck with a tie. Say it's a tie between Kelly and Zay. He told Zay he'll vote to keep him, but will he? Because voting to keep him will be a strong endorsement against Rachel, and I'll get to that in a second. So I'm just not 100% confident on where things lie, and that's the way it's going to be. So we have. Sorry, it's a heavy traffic morning, and lots of people love to live in the left-hand lane, and I just shifted to it. And yada yada. All right, back to driving. Last night, fairly late in the evening for me, Rachel was having a conversation with Keanu, and it was a very tense conversation, a very awkward conversation. Keanu and Zay really don't know how to play Big Brother, and in some ways they're trying to be honest and open about stuff, and they don't understand that you can't be honest and open completely, and you have to sometimes say yes to things that you don't really mean to say yes to, and they're bullheaded and they won't. So Rachel is lecturing Keanu about, how he's not sharing with her and sharing with her about things. Keanu knows that Rachel's doing stuff. Keanu senses or knows that there's a girls thing going on, a girls, but it's not an all-girl alliance, right? It's several of the girls are together. But as I think I posted a clip yesterday, Ava and Kelly maybe aren't a part of it. There's some people that aren't a part of the girls thing, right? It's Rachel and Amy, and then some others glommed in there. But there are some girls that are all trying to work together. But Lauren was asked to, and Lauren said, no, I don't want to. And she didn't say, no, I don't want to, but she told the guys about it. Told some of the guys, told Vince and others. So there's all this stuff going on. And Keanu knows about it. But as they're talking, Keanu says, well, I know you're working with people that I'm not working with. And Rachel's like, well, I know you're working people that I'm not working with. But Keanu was leading into it, and Rachel's like, but there's no girls alliance. Well, there is a girls alliance, and Keanu knows it, and he's really annoyed that Rachel is kind of lying. I think he's really annoyed that Rachel is lying to him, and he knows she's lying to him. And he's angry that she won't admit that some of these things, and he's frustrated, and so it just makes for really tense moments. But Keanu just has to accept that, and he won't accept that, and he's not. I don't think Rachel feels he's giving him the respect that Rachel feels she deserves. So there's this whole tension going on between the two of them. And she's talking about Zay, I think, too. I think that conversation also included talk about Zay. And I don't remember if that was covered during that conversation about Zay's attitude and everything. Remember, he's on the block. But Zay has been saying to people as he's been campaigning, if I stay in the house and if I win head of household, all right, so we got two big ifs there, I am going to target, I am going to go after, I'm going to nominate the people that voted to evict me. So he's basically saying the pool of people that I nominate are going to be people that I know voted to evict me, right? Well, Rachel wants Zay out. Rachel has said, I want to vote Zay out, or I'm going to vote Zay out over, say, Amy. I don't know if she said it over Kelly, but let's assume she has. And so Rachel is turning this into Zay is threatening me. Zay is saying he's going to nominate me. Zay is saying he's going to target me. And Zay / Keanu are just like, well, she's not saying that. He's saying this. It's like, she's like, I don't care. My name is in his mouth in one fashion or another. That is it. But she's not saying that. She's saying, no, that's what he's saying. And this is where the, quote, fight happens. And I say, again, quote fight, because it was really just Rachel creating a situation for dramatic effect that she could get out lots of zingers and one-liners in for television, which Zay later pointed out to her. I thought we were doing having a TV moment. And Rachel's response is, Zay, this is a game. This is a game for a lot of money. This is when the two of them were alone. Implying that, well, yes, this is a television show, but it's this thing for a lot of... But the point is, yes, it was exactly what she was doing, but she's not going to say that out loud on the live feeds. She's just not going to. So Zay just doesn't get it. And I said this morning, Rachel was playing with her food. Zay never had stood a chance in this argument, this quote fight that happened in several stages. And I'll go back and touch on them briefly in a second. But the end result is, I don't know if it made a difference. My thing is, I think it painted a bigger picture on Rachel. I think she exposed how vicious she can be and how she can just target someone and just eviscerate them. And if I'm watching that in the house, I'm like, oh crap, we got to get rid of her as soon as possible and at any opportunity. And, before she turns her eye of Sauron to do a Lord of the Rings, before she turns her eye on me and just tears me to shreds, right? So, I mentioned the conversation with Keanu. I thought, okay, I recorded that, I posted that. I'm like, that's good. That's a good stopping place, because they hugged. Rachel rolled her eyes with Keanu, and then Keanu actually came back in the room and looked at the cameras and said, I don't believe her at all. And I thought, oh, that's a good, nice little finale. So I'm getting ready to call it a night. And then I look, because Rachel said she was going to bed. Then I look, and Rachel is outside talking to Keanu and Zay. I'm like, oh crap, here we got this. So I watched the conversation, and it is, for the most part, the parts I watch, it's Rachel basically saying what I've said earlier. He's saying, you said you're going to target me. And Zay saying, that's not what I said. I said this. And Rachel's going, you said you're going to target me. You're lying to you. Whatever she said. And then she finishes it. I'm going to get the quote wrong, but she gets to the end of this discussion and she goes, well, if you're going to come, you better be careful when you come for the queen, because you're going to get beheaded, right? And then she gets up, puts her shoes on, and walks away. I mean, that was a TV moment, totally. She had that plan in her head that she was going to do that. And she got up, walked away. The guys were both kind of like half jaw dropped, kind of half laughing. And they basically said, well, that was a TV moment. And honestly, you could tell Zay was shook. I think because Zay realized, oh crap, now she's really focused on me and I'm kind of in trouble, but he won't admit it. He just kind of is trying to laugh it off. And this continued then, right? So that happened. That moment happened. I post that moment. Then I didn't post anymore because I was like, while I'm editing these, because I'm a bit of an OCD person about the editing and trying to make it perfect, other stuff is going on, so I'm having to play catch up. Well, they go inside where the retails start to happen, or some kind of retails happen, and Zay is trying to say, look, we had this discussion, but I didn't ever say I'm targeting her. I just said that if I'm going to nominate people, he's saying the same thing he keeps saying. I just said I would go after put up the people that voted for me. And Delia, and it's going back, but at the next big moment that happens, first of all, is that Rachel kind of comes up and she says, game on to Zay, like leaned in and says, game on, Zay. And then as she's walking away, or before that, I don't know, he says, he had this line prepared, I guess. I guess he was going to use it in his nomination thing, but he had this line prepared that went something to the effect of, I'm not going to let you be the first two-time winner. You're not going to be the first two-time winner. But he fumbled it completely because he said 2 times in a row or something, and he meant, but he's like, well, not technically 2 times in a row. I mean, he fumbled it. It just didn't. This is the difference between Zay and Rachel, right? He thought he had it rehearsed. He tried to throw it out there, and it didn't come out right. Whereas he says that, and by the way, Rachel took that muffed line and has magnified it, and it is now that Zay was yelling that from across the way, across the room. You know, Zay yelled that at me across the room, like he exposed me and yelled at me, and you know, and that's why I'm coming after Zay. That's what Rachel did the rest of the night, was she would say, you know, well, he yelled at me across the room, and everyone saw it because there was lots of people there, except for Will was sleeping. There's the funny thing that may make, if they show any of this, because if Zay's gone, they're going to have to find a really weird reason to bring it all up, right? If Zay gets voted out, I don't know, and I don't know, they may show it on tonight's episode as a dramatic moment, as a way to say, you know, but Rachel's not nominated, and Zay may not be on the block because of this thing. So, you know, it's like, I don't know if they'll show any of this. I think they will, but I'm not sure. So that moment happened, and she also said, one of the lines she said is, if you're going to come for me, do it when I have on my gown. By the way, Rachel's got a bunch more clothes. She's got all kinds of loud clothes to wear. But she said, say it while I have my gown on or something. It was like Rachel's got her pre-planned little blips that she's going to spout out this year, looking for the next Floaters Grab a Life Fest. And she threw a couple of them out last night. And these will be quoted down the road, I'm sure. Some people say, if you're going to come for the queen, you'll get beheaded. That line will probably maybe be used down the line by fans and stuff, like, oh, an iconic line from Rachel. So that was the big event of the evening. They had a conversation, another 5 or 10 minute conversation in the storage room, just the two of them, where again Zay tried to explain himself, and Rachel's looking at him like, I don't, you know, whatever. And she started to say, I'm bored. She would just look at Zay like, you know, oh, in the group when they were out in the living room with in the dining room, kitchen with everyone watching, she was kind of like, do you want me to make you a sandwich? Would you like me to make? She just kind of being trying to belittle Zay. And Zay is just, the only thing that Zay tried to do was he tried to do the line about, you're not going to be the only. That was the one zinger that Zay tried to get out, and he muffed it. And the rest of the time he was just going like, but that's not what that's not what I said. That's not what I did. He just didn't have anything. It was a very one-sided argument, and it wasn't even truly an argument. It was a manufactured fight by Rachel for TV purposes, and maybe to kind of show off in front of the rest of the house. But again, I think it exposed her as like, you don't want to be under, you know, in Rachel's sights. She'll, and so I just think it hurt her game, if more than it helped it, because she's not even nominated, right? So, all right. So that happened. And so that I haven't managed to, I glancing through this morning, I didn't see anything more major than it happened. I saw people talk about votes. I saw a clip from someone that showed that Zay talked to Ashley, and she said she would vote out Amy over him. I don't know. I don't know what's the truth and what's not the truth, and where things quite stand. And we'll figure it out. I realize I hate to say this, but it's going to be this way with this blockbuster thing, because unless it's really cut and dry. And again, we have so many people, and that leads me to my next comment that I'm going to try to get in here before I'm done, which is alliances, relationships. I kept saying, I'm kind of waiting for Dolphica to come out with her chart, because she does such a good job. Well, guess what? She posted late last night. Guys, I can't do it this week. I just can't do it. There's too much going on. There's too many groups and alliances, and I will quote her in a second here, which just tells you how much is going on and what's going on and how hard it is to get a brain wrapped around where things might stand. So let me try and see if I can jump to her post on Blue Sky that happened late last night, that I read early this morning, that basically kind of summarized her dilemma. I took a screen capture of it. 1 second. Let's see if I can get to this. Hopefully I'm still recording. I get paranoid when I jump out of my phone app that I don't see things. So I am quoting Dolfica here. She said, some interesting things I noted from a number of alliance perspectives. There are the two boys with the most alliances are Zach and Vince. Two girls with the most alliances are Morgan and Ashley. And that is based on 13 different alliances and 33 duos, like duos being like potential final two things. So 2 to 1-on-1, 33 one-to-one relationships that she's heard about or seen. I at her every time I hear one mentioned, so that gets added to her list, and lots of other people do that too. So she's got 13 different groups, alliances, that she would try to have to put on a piece of paper, and then drawing lines and connections within those and between those. It's just way too many to do. That's her dilemma. But what she mentioned is there's two boys with the most, Zach and Vince, and two girls with the most, Morgan and Ashley. That would initially, but this is so early days, you would say the people that are in the best shape are the people with the most alliances, right? So that would imply that Zach and Vince are in the best shape. Vince is going to be partly because he's had a household, right? He's included in a lot. That doesn't mean it's going to carry through to the next couple of weeks. Keep that in mind. And then Morgan and Ashley. It's interesting. I would, at Morgan, maybe, Zach, maybe. I'm not sure about Ashley again either, because she was nominated, won the power veto. But that's interesting. This will change, but that's the thing that I always keep an eye on. Who has the most relationships? Who has the most relationships? And then she also mentioned, for those that are on the block, Amy has 5 like relationships or groups. Zay is at 5 and Kelly is at 4. Would imply again that Kelly is in the weakest situation, but that doesn't necessarily apply. It's hard telling. But if you had to call it by numbers, yeah, you would say that Kelly is in the weak spot and Zay and Amy are both. But that I don't know. All right. So that's what Dolfica's numbers say. And that is how I used to do those things too, right? I've talked about this, and that was the thing I would do. And I would take Dolfica's numbers, and I probably will again this year, and I would total up what she just did and say, here's your points. I would assign a point value. I think I used to assign like 1 point for being in an alliance and maybe 2 points for having a 1-to-1. I can't remember how I did this. I don't remember. I weighted it a little bit in that I felt that true 1-to-1 relationships were stronger than alliances. And I would give a point value and try to do the scoring that way. So that's where things stand. I think Kelly is probably in the worst position tonight. I don't know. It just depends on if this whole antics last night with Zay hurt him or not. I don't know. People may want to keep him around because now he's definitely, and Rachel said it, he's his number one target. Rachel has said, I have no one. She said it to Keanu, whether she's being honest or not, and she said it to Zay, you're my number, Keanu's my number, or Zay's my number one target. That's who I'm going after. Is that accurate? It is what it is. That's what Rachel's saying. That's her way of saying, I'm not targeting anybody else except for him, right? All right, that's what I got. I am going to sign off. I may try to talk to you guys with a brief one before tonight's episode if we see some major shifting going on, or if I have a better feel. But today the feeds are often down quite a lot, and so we may not get to see a lot of the house guests. but I will do some catching up if I can, and see if I've missed anything of note that would be a better indicator. And if so, I will let you know. All right. Everybody take care. Have a good Thursday. Shows tonight. 1 hour show. It's not a 90-minute show. And we'll have the battle of the block. We won't see they had a household. Oh, they're not doing they weren't locked out of the backyard last I saw. Maybe they are by now, which means I don't know where they had a household competition is going to be, because the battle of block will be in the basement, the area below the head of house, or below the Big Brother house, because there's an area below there. Either they're going to have a really simple phone booth kind of quiz head of household competition that they can just set up really quick in the backyard, or it's going to be really late. I just don't know. So we'll figure it out. Have a good Thursday. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks to my patrons. As always, if you'd like to be a patron, by the way, and support me, you can go to patreon.com/BBGOSSIP. Also, listening to the ads at the end of any of these podcasts helps as well. So thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.